3 in the morning, we wound up getting a call from WWE themselves. I don't want to do this the rest of my life. Let me jump on stocks. I
Yeah.
tried to avoid the paper trading at the beginning
Yeah.
because of that.
Have that thought of, I have to make it back now. That is when you step back, go on an hour or so break or a couple days break.
What advice would you say to that person that's maybe new to
It might
us?
feel like a dump shot on day one, but over time, let the market do its magic.
Everything checked out, and when I started making money, I was like, okay, stocks are not a scam.
That is like my sweet spot where I'm like 80% likely to win. I'm coming in hot with the muscle shirt because today we're talking to a muscled man who's been sharing his day trading journey through his brand Wrestling with Stocks on TikTok and YouTube, and now here today on the podcast. And I think it's great to not only have some of the top tier professionals in the industry, but also some new people for other new traders to see that no matter what your background is, when you come to trading, we all have a similar learning curve that we have to go through. And no matter what stage in your journey you're at, to be humble and have a learning mindset is the true key to success. And our guest today embodies all of that. And so, of course, I can't introduce a professional wrestler without getting a little animated in the intro. So if you're a headphone listener, this is your warning. And now, this is the moment you're waiting for. We're leaving the wrestling ring and stepping into the stock market octagon. Here comes 2.0. Grappling bears, body slamming bulls, ready to unleash a suplex onto Wall Street. Hold tight. This is the rumble of finance. Let's dive headfirst into the chaos.
So my name is Darius. Of course, I love stocks. Got involved with stocks about, I would say, a good year ago, but really got into it about maybe 4 to 5 months ago. I actually wound up joining a Discord group, which was Cash Capital. Kelly, what is her name? Kelly, I can't pronounce her last name, but she was like a girl. She's 21 million multimillionaire just from doing stocks. So I wound up joining her group. Family man, married, 4 boys, YouTuber, cars, and of course, an independent professional wrestler. So
Wait, man.
it's
Boy,
it's a busy life.
you got 4 boys? What ages?
Four
God
boys,
damn.
4 boys. Fixed now. I can't do it no more. Can't
Okay,
do
okay. That's a busy house, man. That's a busy house.
It is definitely busy. They're into sports, the loudness. My oldest is 13. I
Okay.
have 2 boys. They are actually identical twin boys. They're 12.
Oh
And then
wow.
my youngest is 3. So
Man,
I'm down.
you had the twins, you're like, nah, I still want another one.
Yeah. It was the missus. She wanted one more. So
Okay,
I gave her
okay.
that. And then I told her, I'm like, hey, so are we done? We're
Yeah.
done? So she said, yeah. Let me go get the procedure.
Yeah. God quits there. So that's awesome, man. So I want to hear, how do you even enter, how did you find yourself in wrestling? Like how did you get into that? What was that
That
like?
part, it was easy. As a kid, I grew up watching WWF at the time and WCW, idolizing Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold. So it's one of those things where these guys were the biggest thing in my life, and it was almost like, how do you even get involved in this? I idolize them. So growing up, I told myself as a kid, like, I want to be a professional wrestler. But as I grew up, I was like, that probably won't happen. Well, I actually wound up going down to Florida. This was where they were holding like their training section for WWE, which they're called now. I came back to St. Louis. I stayed there for it was like a week or two just to kind of get some insight. Came back to St. Louis, got involved with a guy named Brandon Espinoza. He trained me. And from that point, it just kind of took off. Every week I was traveling around on, I think it was 2017 at 3 in the morning, we wound up getting a call from WWE themselves. And they wound up saying that they needed some extra people for Raw. And for me, it was very surreal to where, as an idiot, I turned it down at first. I was like, no, I can't do it. I gotta go to work in the morning. My wife woke my wife woke up and she was like, you're doing this. So thank God I did because I was actually on Raw. So if you ever look up the section, and it's on YouTube now, Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar backstage fight. I was actually one of the security guards. You see me clear as day. So that was really a surreal moment because I got to spend a whole day with those guys. And I believe, honestly, because of wrestling, that is what set me up to really jump out there and do stocks, do YouTube, because it was just that first leap of faith of like, you know what, I got to put myself out there.
Yeah,
So I loved it.
that's awesome. So
Mhm.
what that's got to be surreal also to meet those guys. You know, you idolize them for so long and then you get to meet them in person.
Yeah,
It's
I had to stop fanboying after a while. It's like, there's the Undertaker. There's the Undertaker. Oh, how are you doing, sir? How are you? Oh my God, he touched me. So I kept switching up, every once in a while. So
yeah, that's awesome. I
it
remember,
was a blessing.
yeah, I that's crazy. But so what is the training like that you do or that you did? Is it
It's so I just actually returned. What was it? About this year, about 2 to 3 months ago, I had two matches, one out in Tennessee and then one back at home in Missouri. The training is intense. A lot of times you guys see the fake side, I'll say the fake punch, but it's really a lot that actually goes into the training part of it. It's real military style just because they want to make sure that's what you want. You know, they want to make sure they're not wasting their time training. It's being able to talk in front of a person. And then if we're carrying out a match, if I'm going over a match with a person, if we mess up, I got to be the pro to cover it up to where the fans don't know you messed up. And I'm not sitting there like, what do we do next? So
yeah.
it's a lot that goes into this dance. It's
Yeah.
a lot that goes into it.
Man, I bet you gotta not only be in amazing physical shape, but you gotta be good at improv and good at
Yes.
performance and hyping the
Everything.
crowd up. Oh yeah. I can't
Everything.
there's so many things you gotta pay attention to all at once and go through this like synchronized, manly dance, I guess. I don't know if that's the way you would
Yes.
call it,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's crazy, man. That's
While
awesome
wearing
though.
tights.
While
Well,
wearing
depending
Oh man, that's got to be
that was tough. The first time I went out, my very first match, I didn't even realize that you choreograph every single match together. My trainer said, "Hey, you're gonna go out
huh.
there. You're gonna be with this guy. We're gonna put you guys in a match." And I was so nervous to go out to remember all this information on what we're gonna do while wrestling in my underwear in front of people. So it was very, it was it was one of the toughest things I had to do. But after a while, I learned I became my character, and that's where the whole 2.0 thing came from. And 2.0 was born, basically. I had finally found me, I would say.
Yeah, so wait, dive into that. The 2.0 character. So that's who you are when you're like entering the arena?
Yes,
Yeah.
so 2.0 was found when I first started. I was the good guy. I was shaking hands and everything. And I went to and that's what we call in the ring a baby face. The
Okay.
bad guy in wrestling is a heel. So I wound up doing this for like a year or two, and I kept going to my trainer. I was like, dude, can I become a heel down at this particular company? Give me a chance, give me a chance. The minute I became a heel, the 2.0 was the me finding myself. This is the second version of me. Even though I
Okay.
get jokes like, have you upgraded to 3.0? It's like,
Yeah.
no, this is the upgrade. So but it meant so much to me, not so much as just with wrestling, but the 2.0 was me saying, you know what, this is my take in life. Whether it's
Okay.
YouTube, whether it's stocks, whether it's just me giving my all, like this is my 2.0, my upgrade in life, I'll say.
Nice. That's
Hmm.
awesome. I like that. I like that a lot. So you enjoy being the heel though. That's the heel is like the antagonist, right? That's you got to be
Yes.
okay with all the hate and
Yes.
ruffling
But it's the cool.
feathers.
We're like the cool. It's like the cool being a cool bad guy. I've done the 2.0 thing so much to where instead of the fans booing me, they would actually cheer me because I was the cool bad guy, like a Randy Orton,
Okay.
I'll say.
Okay. Okay.
So you're
Okay.
like the
Okay.
Citron of wrestling.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. It's cool to be bad. So
Yeah.
I
That's
freaking love it.
awesome. Yeah. So So were you doing YouTube at that time? Were you doing YouTube before you started doing stocks and stuff then?
I was, yes. So I
Okay.
have a channel. God, I have so many channels. Me and my wife, we started a channel at one point. It's called The Walls Network. That's where I kind of experimented with a lot of funny videos, dream screens. Um, we made a couple other channels that didn't really pan out, and then 2.0 Car Flock, because I'm big on cars, was something that I had started as well. And then right when stocks took off, I wound up doing another channel, wrestling with stocks. So it's anything I see that I'm passionate about or I want to go for, I just do it. I don't even think about it. I'm just like, screw it, let's go for
Yeah. I mean, that's how you
it.
gotta be. That's how you gotta be,
Yeah.
because that's the only way you're gonna. Man, I remember when I first started, because I've been doing creating content for 2.5 years now, and I used
Uh-huh.
to be so self-conscious about every single thing I posted, and
Yep.
stuck in that
Yep.
analysis paralysis, man. And
Yep.
you just gotta keep going because it's gonna suck in the beginning, no matter what. So just keep going,
Got to keep going because
Something
you
fun.
never know what it can. You never know what can come of it. So it's
Yeah.
like, you know what?
Hmm.
Just keep going. Screw what people think. Hey, no matter what you do, somebody's gonna find hate on it.
Oh yeah.
So that's how I look at it.
Yeah, and you probably already built up a thick skin with the wrestling from that for that
Oh
too.
yeah. You hear some of everything. Wrestling's fake. Yeah, it is fake. Like that I do it. I know what I do, but I love everything about it. It's that you get to be in the center of attention. You get to just be your character times 20, basically. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
go kick a real guy in the face, just out there. But in the ring, yeah, kick in the face. So
Yeah. But what is when you're before there's got to be a lot of work that goes into it even outside the ring and the choreography too though, because I mean I've seen your photos, like you're in great shape. Yeah.
thank
So is that
thank you.
like is that like a lot of bodybuilding regimen, or what is it, powerlifting that you're kind of doing? Keep
Just more working out. I'm not. I will tell you this. I'll have so many people come up and they'll ask me questions and tips on working out. I'm like, dude, I mean, I don't really have the answer. I know what works for me. And
okay,
if I go
okay.
work out with you, I'll tell you, I'll push you, but I don't have that plan. I'm not big on like, oh, you got to have this meal and eat this meal. I'm like, hey, whatever I do, it just kind of works for me. So, but you got to stay in shape. Like,
Yeah.
if you are in a ring with somebody, you got to be able to keep that person safe. And if I'm weak, I may drop somebody on their neck.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I'd rather keep that person honestly safe than my own self. But
Right.
that's just me. Mhm.
That's I never even thought about that part of
Yeah.
it. Yeah, because your goal isn't actually to hurt these people, even though I imagine, have you gotten any injuries from incidents?
I have well, I'll say I got a boot to the face. I had actually had one like
Oh my
right on my
God.
face. I was in a ring with a guy in Tennessee, and everybody was telling me, "Oh, this guy's so good," and I was new. I'm one of those guys. I'm very humble with every single thing I do. But when I'm in a ring and I play my character, I am a cocky guy because that's my character, and I know my stuff. So I was getting in a ring with this guy, and they said, "Oh man, this guy's he's so good. He'll take care of you." And we were in the ring, in the middle of the ring, and we kind of communicated at times. And all I remember the guy saying, "Hey, stay right there." And I look up like, "What?" Boom, right to the face. Boot mark on my face. I'm pissed at this point. So the match became a little bit more real. And we have this thing which is called a receipt in wrestling. That means if you are working rough with a guy and they hurt you in a way, hey, you know what? You got a receipt. It's coming back to you. Just know you got this receipt. That boot was your receipt, so I gave it right back to him. And we went back to the locker room. He started talking crap and everything. We wound up settling it and everything. And we were friends. But I was telling him, I was like, hey, dudes, like, I'm new. You're not communicating. So you want to be able to communicate. And a lot of the guys in this business, they get the big head on things. They've been in business so long, they never had opportunity, but they think like, oh man, I'm the man. It's like, dude, you're not. Like, sorry, you're still working a 9 to 5 job like myself. Like, just keep it real, bro. Like, just keep it
Yeah.
real. So,
Yeah.
but it's definitely a journey, man. It is wrestling is definitely a journey. I love it.
Yeah. That's a pretty funny story, to be honest. I never
I
heard the
mean, who's
receipt thing,
one?
but it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you'll see it. you'll definitely see if you ever watch wrestling. Um, there was also another thing. This was clear on video. There's a guy named Braun Strowman and Brock Lesnar, which I'm sure everybody knows Brock Lesnar.
Hmm.
They were in a match, and the Braun Strowman was a bigger guy. He kept kind of grappling him, and he was moving too fast. And Brock basically told him to slow down, and he didn't slow down, so he literally decked the guy clear in the head. You can see his head just kind of wobble back and shake. But realistically, Brock is a big dude. I'm not really trying to mess with that guy. So,
Yeah.
so he got his receipt, basically.
Yeah. Man, I've seen photos of Brock Lesnar, and I've met some of these big guys at like different weightlifting conferences I used to go to, and it's
Uh-huh.
I mean, I feel I'm a weightlifter, and I sometimes
Uh-huh.
meet these guys like we're both humans. Are you sure? Like, this don't even make sense to me. It's
Brock is a
crazy.
scary individual. Around the time when we did the whole Raw thing, I was actually next to Brock. And I remember before everything went aired, Triple H told everybody, he said, "Hey, just letting you guys know, don't go into business for yourself. Basically, don't whatever I say goes." And I remember us supposedly arresting Brock Lesnar because we were cops. And we were supposed to escort Brock to the back, when the camera so the camera can cut off and they can kind of end Raw. And I just remember him saying, "Don't touch me. Don't touch me." And I kind of paused like, is this a part of the script or does he actually mean don't touch him? So, and he kept saying it, but before Raw even went on air, we did this and he didn't do that. So I don't know if he was just improv and that was just Brock's character, but he just kept saying don't touch me. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna touch this guy. This guy will probably eat me. So hey, okay.
That's
Brock,
funny.
he's a scary individual. Like
Yeah.
I tell my wife, I mean, if I was standing next to Brock and he took your purse, you know what? He just took your purse. Sorry. We'll get you another one.
Yeah, that's that's awesome. So, so what was so you said originally earlier that you joined a Discord and that
Mhm.
helps you kind of start your journey of trading. But what made you even seek that out? Like, how did you get introduced? Because a lot of people just don't even know what the stock market is usually. So like
Yeah.
what was the first baby steps you took there?
Honestly, again, it goes back to wrestling. I had an opportunity, and this is a true story. I had an opportunity to join WWE. I had an opportunity to really go for this. And I had to decide at one point, is this something I really want to do? I'm going to be away from my family. Can I handle this? Can my wife, can my kids handle this? Even though she's an amazing supporter, she's always been there. I have to make that decision as a man. I said, you know what? I can't. I want to see my kids grow up. So I said, you know what? And it hurt me. Like I actually cried because I was like, man, this is something I always want to do. And any other time I would have jumped on it. But this was just that part of me growing up. And I said, you know what? Okay, they're going to be going on the road. I need to figure something else out. YouTube was one thing that kind of started. And then all of a sudden I came across the stock market. Didn't know anything about it. All I seen was numbers and the color red and the color green. And then there was Robinhood. A guy told me, he said, hey man, download this. My buddy, he downloaded this and he made some money. So I'm like, okay, I downloaded it, but I still didn't know what it was. And during COVID time, I was actually working from home at my job. And I said, you know what? Even though I'm doing sales, I'm in the sales, I was like, I don't want to do this the rest of my life. Let me jump on stocks. And somehow I came across option trading. It was a warning saying, hey, I don't know if you know anything about options, blah, blah, blah. So it made me intrigued even more. It was a warning sign. So I'm like, let me really jump on this. And I just literally studied, jumped on it, studied. But once again, didn't know anything about it, still confused. And then after a while, I just kept learning. I kept YouTubing. And finally, I came to a plateau to where I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And now I wound up joining that Discord. I started reaching out to people on Facebook. And then I came across Kelly. And then I came across Cash Capital, joined it. And that's where everything really took off for me. Just the learning, the ins and outs and everything.
And having that
So very
community.
thankful for those guys.
Yeah, having that community helps you level up a lot. Yeah.
Yes. Because it was definitely confusing at first. I was like, is the stock market a scam? Like really? And then I figured out, I'm like, it's not. They know what they're doing. Like It's only a scam if
Hmm.
you don't know what you're doing. It's a gamble. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the game becomes just probabilities and everything. So when you are trading now, uh what is are you I think I've seen some of your TikTok content. It looks like you're trading the S&P index a lot. Is that like
yes.
the wheelhouse that you've specialized in right now?
Yeah, at first I started with SQ. Then I wound up going to SPY and QQQ, and I started noticing I was like, man, like these stocks actually move a little bit faster, and they expire every single day. So I was like, you know what? Let me try it out. I'm not gonna lie. Before I joined, right when I joined Cash Capital, I got the big head on things after like one day. And I told my wife, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna jump into Starbucks. I'm gonna put money in Starbucks. Well, I put $1,000 into Starbucks and lost $600. I got humbled real quick.
Oh
I
yeah.
got humbled so
It'll do
quick
that to you,
where,
man.
yeah,
Yeah.
it hurt. I literally woke up the next day. I wound up saying my stock. I was negative 600, and I just remember going on the couch. I closed the account out. I closed that trade up. I sat on the couch and I was like, "What the hell am I doing? What am I doing?" And I told myself, I said, you know what? I don't want to quit this, even though I lost this much money, which hurt. I was like, you know what? Once I get this information, once I learn, I get the knowledge down. Doesn't matter how much I put in because now I have the knowledge. Now I can go and start making some money and start doing gains, which I lose here or there, but it's definitely not at $600. Like now, my risk reward and my risk management is a lot better. I'll say.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's just a price you pay, for like no
Yes.
one's winning 100% of the time ever, no matter
Hmm.
how
No.
good
Gotta
they
get
are.
punched in the face a few times to
Yeah.
really get at it.
Even if they're a good analyst like Monty here.
Yeah, I kind of blew it up on the last one with Roku, but hey, it's what,
Oh.
like not even a week, so just give it some time.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But so when so you're not trading the indexes a lot. So it sounded like you were doing 0-day expiration options. So you're in and out real
Yes.
quick. Okay.
Yes. I try to get in. My goal really is to get in by 8:30 if I can, 8:30, 8:45, be out by 9:30. Like I don't even want to play around in it, just for the time being. Like I said, I'm still new and I feel like I have it down, but I'm also the type of person to where I will learn from anybody. Like I don't care how long you've been in it. If you're new like me, I will learn from anybody. I'm very humble in it, and I never feel like I can learn enough.
Yeah.
So, mhm.
I mean, that's the way you gotta be. I've been doing this for 11 years. I still feel the same way. Every time I get a big hit, I get
Hmm.
punished. Every single time I get overconfident, even after doing it for
uh
this long. That's just the way it is. The market will punish you heavily, especially if you start projecting what you think is going to happen on the market
Yep.
rather than letting it tell you what's going to happen. Yeah. So,
And that's what
eh,
humbled me real quick.
oh yeah, absolutely. So, are you? So, what is your are you trying to work towards branch so well, actually let me back up a little bit.
Okay.
So you've been working on your options knowledge and stuff. Have you also been trying to pick up some like fundamental and macro knowledge? Have you some accumulated some of that as well as you've kind of gone along? Or are you
Yeah,
mostly yeah.
I try and so every single day, I use TradingView, of course. I'll try and go back. I'll replay. Why did this stock move here? Why did this stock move here? And I'll pull out my notebook and I'll say, you know what? Let me map out what this. I don't know what order blocks are. Let me learn what order blocks are. I'm not so much as keen or familiar on liquidity. Let me learn liquidity. Let me break it down and not trade until I know this. So I'm always trying to go back and just better myself because my end goal is right now, I work right now, I'm a manager at Car Shield. And my goal, like I told my wife, I want to be within 2 years, I want to be done. Like I want to have stocks be my start off, maybe
Mhm.
have some people under me and just really have my own business. But regardless of what happens, if I lose an arm or leg, you know what? I got the knowledge in stocks and I
Yeah.
will always make money.
Yes.
So, mhm.
Yeah. It's a skill set that does it. Yeah. And that's the for the driving force for me when I was learning as well, because I paid a lot for the lessons I've learned,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. Well, you've been
that's
doing it for 11 years, so I'm sure
Yeah.
you've seen some of everything. So
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, different type of market environments where different strategies work better than others. Or, I
Hmm.
remember 2018 where if you weren't trading off Trump tweets, I don't know what you're doing because that guy's moving the market every other week. So it's crazy stuff like that. But yeah, and that experience is just invaluable as well because even though my knowledge is kind of peaked,
yeah,
um, as far as the basics go, as far as understanding liquidity and understanding, what is a call or a put or different strategies, the experience and time in the market just gives you a certain type of intuition
yeah,
that you could use. You probably are getting a lot of that, especially since you are actively trading while you're also continuing to build your knowledge base. And that's like so essential. Like, and I'm also excited to hear that you're not doing much paper trading because I know a lot of people who do paper trading to start and then they don't understand the emotions involved. And as soon as you add those
Hmm.
emotions,
yes.
they start screwing everything up.
Yes, I
Yeah.
tried to avoid the paper trading at the beginning
Yeah.
because of that. I said, you
Yeah.
know what? Let me just jump into it. But I kind of really jumped into it with $1,000 and losing 600. But you know what?
Yeah.
The emotions, I get it now because paper money, it would have been nothing at all. Hey, I lost
Yeah.
600. Oh, okay. When I'm losing my own money, now
Oh
it's
yeah.
like, oh, like
Got a little
so.
skin in the game there.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't get to
Hmm.
get this back, huh? Like, can I get
Makes you really think, do I continue, stop here? What do I do? And
Yep.
I'm actually pretty happy to hear that you shook it off, reflected, learned from your mistake, and just continued learning. That's where most people stop. That first big hit, they just stop, rage quit, delete the app, and move on. But that's really cool to hear that you kept, learning, continuing your
Thank,
knowledge search, and just went at it.
I
thanks, man. Like, and because this is really what is something I want to do. It's something I want to give to my family. My family deserves it. I want to give my family the life that they never had. The life I'll say I've never had as a kid. Not saying I want to go and just spoil my kids. Like, hey, you guys can have this and that. I want them to understand and learn. But maybe my son grows up and he says, "Hey, Dad, I'm complete with high school. I don't really want to do college." Okay, son. Well, let me show you a different way. Let me give you this knowledge so now you can pass it on to your kids long walk off,
yeah.
or even help the next person that that may hate their job. Hey, man, come on towards me. Let me show you how to do this. It's something I just want to keep giving. The gift that keeps on giving, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And it's great. I think everyone should at least know a few things about the market,
yeah,
how to make sure that their money's also working to make more money in some sort of way.
yes,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yes,
whether you're doing it yourself or working with an advisor, so you can at least check in and see if they're doing what they're saying they're doing.
Oh yeah.
exactly.
Do you have like a long-term account that you're also just buying stocks or crypto in or anything like that as well?
It's all options. Everything I'm doing now. The one thing I didn't want to do was pull my YouTube status on, hey, let me create this channel. Okay, let me create this idea. Let me create this idea. I said, you know what? Let me jump on options. Let me master options before I move on to anything else, anything with futures, Bitcoin, anything like that. Let me just get this one thing down, especially since I'm so new to it. And once I get this down, cool. Now I can move on to something else. But if that one thing fails, I still mastered option. Then I can always go back to it. So
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
a YouTube.
Yeah. So what has it been like? So um what's it been like? I think you how long ago did you create Wrestling with Stocks?
Russell with stocks is, I would say, maybe like a good month and a half, maybe
Okay,
possibly.
okay. Yeah.
It's pretty new, but the main reason why I wanted to create Russell with stocks now versus seeing big success was because a lot of times when you, like you said, done it so long, you kind of forget the basics.
Yeah.
And I know when I was searching on how to do stocks, options, there's so many videos, but nobody could break it down to where I needed it, to where I can understand it. Like I needed you to explain it to me like a kid. Like, oh yeah, this is this. No, but can you tell me as if I was two? Now tell me if I was one. Like that's how I
Yeah.
basically needed it. So,
Yeah. I I feel that, especially since I waited so long to actually make content. That was the number one thing people would tell me is like, I have no clue what you're talking about. And I'm like, oh, probably not taking good starting points for a lot of this then.
I just saw my parents read it, say, "Do you get it? Revise."
Yeah. I really like your mindset for that. And wrestling with stocks, by the way, is, especially since being a professional wrestler and stuff. I mean,
Yes.
the play on words, like, and
Yep.
and since everyone's wrestling with stocks all the time, I just love
That's
that.
it.
Yeah.
That
That
that is
is
literally
such a
it.
good name. You've
Thank you,
Josh
bro. I
knows I love
appreciate
puns. That's an awesome name.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, killer name. I've been trying to like all your videos and stuff, and of
I
course I'll
appreciate it.
include a link down below to all your stuff too for people watching on YouTube.
Thank you, brother. Really
Yeah,
appreciate that one.
yeah, that's just,
George actually told me. Funny thing is, the way I came in contact with you, George had actually told me to reach out to you. Like I think it was like a year or two. Right when George, God, what is Palacino? I can't think of George's last name.
oh, JH. Everyone calls him JH, right? That's what we're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
He told me to reach out to you, right, because I posted on Facebook. I was like, hey, does anybody know anything about options? Like, I was serious. And he told me, he was like, yeah, man, reach out to this guy. And I did at one point, but I kind of backed off because I was nervous. I'm like, man, this dude knows about stocks. I'm like, I don't want to get on there like, hey, so what does green and red mean? Like, I was so basic to it,
Yeah.
to where I felt more intimidating. So I was like, I'm just gonna just not reach out to him. Let's just wait. Let me at least get some knowledge down.
Yeah.
But I wish I really would have followed up at that point with you and multiple people versus me doing it on my own, because I felt like I took the long way versus just like, let me just ask these guys.
Yeah. I've did you look at any of my content that I had created and then take that decision or to back off, or is that just a personal one?
It would no, you were the stuff I was looking at. You look more like a big deal, like you had been doing it. So I was like, oh shit, like it was. I was really intimidated. Not you as a
Okay.
person, like, oh man, this
Yeah.
guy, like a douche. It was just more like, man, this dude knows his information, and I felt like the little kid, like, hey, can I have some candy? So I was like, yeah, let me just go back and at least do that. And I'm not even gonna lie, even with the invite, I wanted to do it, of course. But at first in my back of my mind, I was like, man, I'm still new to this. But I'm like, you know what? Just like wrestling, I need to go for it. I want to do it. You seem like a really, really cool guy anyway. So I was like, man, like I was excited. Told my wife about it. She even told me,
Good.
message me how everything goes. So
Yeah, man. Well, I'm
super
so
excited.
glad. Yeah, I'm so glad you came on the podcast. And
No, thank you, man.
yeah, and I mean, if you ever have any questions, do not hesitate to
Appreciate that,
reach
bro.
out too, like that's what I do, it's what I'm here for. So I don't want
I really
anyone,
appreciate
if anyone's listening to this too and they're feeling the same way, like please do not. Like I am fine with addressing whatever questions you have. So
that, brother. I really do.
yeah, 'cause like your friend Kelly, I also run a Discord community then, and so
Okay.
yeah, that's mainly what I operate on. So we have like 700 members and I'm always available for them, whatever questions they got. So
Definitely
um
have to join that. Definitely have to
yeah.
join it.
Yeah. Yeah. So as far as like the content and stuff for TikTok, what is your end goal for doing that? Is it just to share your journey and just see what happens as you continue to put that out, or
Kind of, really, kind of like you. Like, I want to get this information out. I want people kind of they want to see the ups, they want to see the downs, but people are big on success. So I first want to kind of show them success, then start showing the downs. But then I also want to do my own Discord group once I have this down. I don't want to jump into it right now. Like, hey guys, let's jump in. Oh shoot, I lost 600. See you guys. Like, I want to get this down, master it to where any question you ask me, I'm like, hey, this is what this is. This is what this is. Not saying that every single day I'm going to win. Obviously, like you in stocks, it will humble you quickly, as we talked about. But I at least want to get this down to where, I have a steady income. maybe I can help the next person that's struggling. Maybe there's another Darius out there like me that's like, man, you know what? I really don't want to, and I'm not down to any guy out there or woman out there. I don't want to be the guy that's 70 or 80 buying that one Corvette that I can't really control to enjoy. I want to be young and enjoy myself. I want to be young and enjoy my home. I want to be young and enjoy the toys that I buy. So I'm like, you know what? Let me get this down now, and then I'll rest later on, and then help somebody else on my journey. So
Yeah.
that's my goal.
That's a I think that's a good goal, yeah. And I mean, I look at this too as like I could do this forever. Because I was before I started doing this pretty much full time, I
Mhm.
was like, this is the job where I'll never have to worry about retiring. I'll always have, knowing money
Yeah,
is like it's so applicable, especially when you're networking with people. Being the guy who
Mhm.
understands markets and knows money is very good. It gets you in
yeah.
good groups. It helps you to know people too. It's
You're the guy
very,
that everybody wants to, well, the smart people will want to know.
yeah,
And that's it.
yeah,
Like, I want to go hang out with that guy.
Exactly.
yeah. It's very helpful.
So let me
So,
ask you for your journey, what was the start for you? Like, what made you say, "Hey, this is what I want to do"? Like stocks itself.
so well, I mean, for my journey, I majored in biochemistry and biotechnology in college. During
Okay.
that during that time period, I also discovered the stock market and bought up a bunch of biotech companies on like for
Okay.
like cheap. I was buying stocks for like $6, $10,
Hmm.
$15, and then a lot of them blew up. And then I was also at the same time looking at going to work in a research lab and realizing that I don't make squat, and the job is extremely boring. So I was talking to professors about this. They're like, you should try sales. I tried to get biotech sales. That didn't work out. So I ended up doing insurance with Liberty Mutual because it was like, okay, I need sales experience because everyone working in biotech sales is like 40 and up. It's like
Okay.
mostly the demographic. They don't want some young kid with no sales experience to step in here.
Yep.
Even if I understand what I'm selling to a very high level, it doesn't matter because it's about relationships. That's all that matters.
Yep.
And so I didn't understand that. And then while I was doing sales, I was making good money. I had a great mentor when I was learning all of that and
Mhm.
making good money. And the whole time I'm trading
Nice.
ever since college, started with penny stocks, found and holding a lot of these biotech stocks long term. CRISPR, which ended up going to like $300 during COVID, is when I sold it, but I bought all those shares for $15. So like I lucked out in a way because of my background. I specialized in my knowledge base. And then I found trading afterwards over that time period, built all the lessons with options and stuff. So like that's like my journey, I guess.
That's freaking
Is
cool.
yeah, yeah. I
I
was
always
I
love hearing. I always love hearing it from like people that's been doing it so long. Just like, man, like what got you started? You know what I mean? Like for like not to fanboy it, but like you're saying like, hey, I've been doing stocks for 11 years. Like to me, I idolize that. Like, man, that is. I can't wait to be that long in. Like that's so freaking
yeah.
cool. And still loving it. It's like I freaking love hearing that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, and I mean, I do the same thing with guys who have been doing it for 30 years or more. Especially a
Mhm.
lot of traders. I mean, for me, I was
Mhm.
I was good. I was making money and I was doing all
Mhm.
right. And then in 2017, I want to say, I got a
Mhm.
mentor who I don't even know his name. To this day, I don't know his name. He doesn't post his real name anywhere. He operates anonymously. I DM'd him and we went back and forth and he shared all his trades with me and not
Oh,
so I could copy them, but I could understand like the
yep.
fearlessness he had when he made trades, the way he managed his risk. And
Mhm.
that mentorship is what really took me to the light. Now I get this. And then a few years after that, I was like, okay, I'm comfortable. For me to make content, that analysis paralysis, man. Like I had to feel like it had at least 10 times more knowledge than the average person before I made a single video about any of this because I was so terrified. about it. Yeah.
That's pretty
That,
cool.
but
That is pretty cool.
that's why I really admire what you're doing, though, because I think it is so important to share our for new people to see that journey and that development. And you're talking about people love success, but even if you go through trials and errors, people love that hero story where you fall, you get back up, and then you rebuild.
Yep.
Like that is also so inspirational. If you do run to that point,
Uh-huh.
because I even now, like maybe since you're newer, you haven't experienced this, but you can go on losing streaks that spiral out of control, and you just got to step away and just
Yep.
take the hands off the keyboard. Like, okay, I got to stop hitting the buy button. Something's off, And
That is definitely
yeah,
true. That is
yeah,
definitely true. Times I will step back, like, all right, like,
yeah.
okay, I
Oh
got my
yeah.
stop loss set here, but I let it keep going. I'm like, all right,
Oh
let me
yeah,
take a break for a
The
second.
worst mindset you got to be in to have a big loss and have that thought of I have to make it back now. That is when you step back, go on an hour or so break or a couple of days break and just
yeah,
Yep.
figure it out.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Because the
But I
mind
guess that's
will,
where you just keep learning too. You constantly learn. It's just over and over and over. Learn something new, something new.
yeah. Do you keep a trading log at all by chance?
I don't. My wife for me keeps it.
Okay.
I'm more like I always tell babe, I'll just check my Robinhood. But she's like, no, D, like you need to learn. So I'm actually doing a lot better now on log and everything. I keep everything in my book. But yeah, it's definitely something she's big on it because she's our goal is this. We don't want to have that 9 to 5. We want to see our kids grow.
Hmm.
So I want to be in business. She wants to be in business. She's with Legendary, an affiliate marketing group. So she's with Legendary. She's doing her own business thing. So we're doing two different journeys, but she definitely logs hers a lot more. And I'm sitting over there like, man, maybe I should need to log mine because it really helps her. But every single time I say I'm gonna do it, I don't. So
Yeah. it's 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 kind of like getting in the habit of working out. Like unless you're doing it every day and you're in that groove, you lose that groove, and it's like, ah, man, like restarting that
yep,
can sometimes be a huge pain. Gotta grease up the wheel a little bit, and we'll get back into
got
it.
to,
Yeah,
got to.
yeah, yeah. I was
That
just
happens with me working out too.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So boy, you guys sound like quite the team though, because she's trading as well.
She's an affiliate marketer. So hers is more of the oh God, how do I say? Okay, I'm not making fun of my wife. I'm not making fun of my wife. I
Okay,
love my wife.
okay,
If you see more of those videos where it's like, hey, you want to do this? Click here. Those type videos. She's an
okay.
affiliate, and I'm not gonna lie, I really still don't fully know exactly what it is, but it's more of a course to where it's an affiliate marketing group where you can kind of learn to go into business for yourself.
Okay.
And she's having good days, but the one thing I can say compared to what she does, and I try not to compare because I don't, ever want to down her. I always motivate her, and I'm really big on that one. Same thing for me with her, or her with me. But the one thing I can say with stocks, you do not need to. You don't need other people. I can basically go into business. I can wake up, open my computer, make my money, and then be done. I don't need a customer to come in. I don't need to wait till somebody buys this and that. And that's the independence part that I love about the stock market is it's just me. I get up, I get out, boom. I don't have to create a sales funnel or anything like that. Now later on, if I create my own course, we can talk about that. But as for right now with stocks, like I make my money and I'm going home.
Yeah. That's nice. It's nice. I still like it's been so a big part of my journey. I also love having that group, which you want to build a Discord community as well. But like
Yes.
some of these traders in my Discord are just as good as me, or they're really good investors like Monty with, professional backgrounds and stuff. And
Awesome.
sometimes I'll share an idea and they won't fail to be like, dumb. You know? Or, you know, a few of them won't let me also forget my mistakes. They'll definitely point that out.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. But it's good. It's good. So even though there's that like a customer you have to work with, I love having a network of people to reach out to. And even with, you know, Monte and I both know like hedge fund managers and stuff. And you know, we keep in communication with them and they're telling us what
That's
they see
awesome.
and everything. Yeah. So like that's
That's
like
awesome.
it's so helpful because you only have one pair of eyes. You only have so much information you can maintain in your short-term memory, you know, and
Mhm.
they keep track of. I can only keep really close track of maybe 20 stocks where like I know everything about them, but any more than that, and I'm likely missing details or forgetting stuff, or and then I'll run into
Uh-huh.
dumb mistakes and look like an idiot. So, you know, I, you know, once you get a group of people and stuff, then everyone's watching different things and they'll mention different things to you and you're like, oh, I better look into that, you know, like it's
Wow, that is cool.
yeah. So I'm really glad your goal is to to be in a community and eventually build your own. I think that's awesome, man. That's
If
really
you could give,
awesome.
if you could give, I would say advice or tip for somebody at the beginning. Like if you were coming across a person, what advice would you say to that person that's maybe new?
Just in general, just like
Just
as
in
a
like general to the stock market, I'll say that may have, I'm not gonna say new to the stock market. I'll say that's been trading a little bit, that maybe had a couple wins and losses, like, and what would you say to that person as far as if they're like as far as them to keep going? Like advice or tips or anything, what would you say?
oh look, the I've met, at least spoken to,
Mhm.
dozens and dozens and dozens of traders and investors with varying levels of success.
Mhm.
And the most common thing, the biggest similarity between all of them is they all
Uh-huh.
ate it at some point. Literally, the division between failing and succeeding at this is will you keep
Uh-huh.
going? That's literally it. Like that's
Okay.
the one thing between all of them. Will you keep going? Because look, like when it comes to that,
I like
getting
that.
good trade ideas, there is something that comes with experience from that. But risk management, anyone can learn risk management. That is a tried and true process that you can just learn. Now, when it comes to picking good ideas, that comes with experience, maybe some talent, some skill set that you build up over time. But you can learn risk
Okay.
management if you study up and you learn to like be tough on your losers, let the winners win. You know, if you're doing short-term trading like you know,
Uh-huh.
like if my position's up 20%, I'll load into it. If it's down 20% or it's not moving at all when I open it, boom, I'm letting it go. It's not doing anything, it's not working. Get it out of here. I don't want to look at it.
Yep.
You know? Like so like that's like that's probably if I'm motivating someone to keep going, that's what I would
Okay.
say.
Okay.
If I'm giving a piece of advice for someone who's in it,
Mhm.
I'm probably gonna talk about that trade log.
Okay.
Because one of the things that I do in mine
Uh-huh.
is I color code mistakes that are similar to one another. So if I held a loser for too long, I'll color code them all red. If the idea was just bad, I'll color code it orange and stuff like that, so that I can
I like that.
I can get a good idea of what bad habits exist. Am I doing the same
Okay.
dumb thing over and over and over? Like that is like that was a bad habit for me in the beginning of like I'm
Okay.
repeatedly doing the same dumb thing and I'm not recognizing it. Like and then
Yep.
but when you get a piece of paper and half of it's orange or something, it's like, oh shit. I really got to work on that, you
It's
know.
usually when it
So
comes to half
yeah. And it doesn't have to be that exact process, but developing something like that I think is really, really helpful.
Okay.
Yeah.
I really like that actually. I think that is actually a really good idea because the one thing I can say, which was that dumb idea, was I was getting up ready to trade at the very beginning and at 8:30. before I even knew exactly where everything was going. I was like, okay, well, it looks like this is gonna move here. Let me use my RSI. And I'm like, what other confirmations am I doing? And I would jump in, and almost like the stock market guide was watching me and goes, Darius bought a call. Okay, it's gonna go up. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do a put, and it would
No.
go all in reverse. And I'm like, what am I doing? But then I started realizing just that bad idea was like I'm doing the same dumb stuff every day, but I never logged it. So I really like that actually.
Yeah.
I really like that.
You mentioned RSI. Is there other technical indicators that you found a lot of success with?
RSI was one of the biggest ones, mainly when it came down to the trading group that was with Cash Capital. She had three other people with her, and I had one of the guys I did a one-on-one training with, just like this, over the phone. And he was big on not using any indicators. Kelly was big on using the RSI. I actually found success when I would at the beginning when a stock was overbought. I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
this gonna really move. If it was oversold, okay, this gonna really move. Let me put money in. And there are a lot of times I did find success in it. But a lot of times I did fail. So RSI I'll use and just volume, just a volume indicator at times. But RSI is kind of like my big go-to.
Okay.
But I always have confirmation now. I don't just go off the RSI. I always do confirmation and I wait. I try and wait now, see what the market's gonna do.
Following that price action, that's good. Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
I
Yeah.
love it.
Because I don't know if you've ever run into this, Monty, but like my biggest thing to overcome was like telling the market what I think is going to happen, and then just getting
Mm,
repeatedly just beaten for it.
yeah, and that's a good segue into my bit of advice to where you can't tell the market what to think. You can have the greatest idea, the greatest stock pick based on some piece of detail you read about, and
Mm,
until the rest of the market realizes that bit of information, whether you need to bring it to them through an article or they just need to figure out on their own, it ain't gonna
uh-huh.
do shit. It doesn't mean anything until other people recognize that value.
Yeah.
So, going into your trading exercises, if you buy it, it doesn't do anything for 6 months.
Mm.
Have people not realized it, or do they just not care about that info? So,
And that's a
being understanding on that basis, that's important.
Yeah, and
Like,
and that's especially all that information comes from Monty's background as he's used to
yeah,
be a professional analyst for stocks. So he's doing longer
that's awesome.
positions. He's not usually in and out in one day. So like you
Hmm.
had that Substack, Monty, if you want to talk about that, where you published a short on it and then it went up 60%. If you want to break like that's a great example of
That is actually, it's gonna
yeah.
haunt me though. No, so I think it was the day before earnings. I published a short position for a company called Smart Sands, or a microcap sand
Okay.
mining company that's used for fracking in the oil and
Mhm.
gas business. And I published it. It got some hatred on the first day. Nobody likes short positions. They don't like short sellers. You're just gonna get all the hate. And the following day, post earnings, the stock shoots up something like 64, 65%. And it's like, great. I'm a dumb shit. I missed every little detail I could possibly think of and was just completely wrong about this. And as the market settled, as people started to realize, maybe it wasn't that impressive of an earnings or whatever it may have been. I don't know what people were thinking, but over time, it trickled down slowly and then more quickly started rolling back. And inevitably the stock was at a loss of 14% since my initial recommendation. So,
That's
it might
awesome.
feel like a dump shot on day one, but over time, let the market do its magic. That's what I'm
Yes.
hoping for Roku. That's what
And
I'm hoping for Roku.
yeah,
Same thing as possible.
and to segue that back to you, Darius, is that's why I asked about if you're building a fundamental basis, because I wonder if you start to dabble into some more longer term positions rather than just day trading, as like Monty said, like the technicals, the price action is king. If you're ignoring price action, you will get in the short term, you will always get heavily punished. But like on the fundamental and like so like I had a different path than you. I didn't go, I was terrified for a while of that short-term option trading, and I was usually like 20 to like 120 days was like my magic spot. I didn't want to be longer than 120 days because I wasn't patient enough,
Okay.
and I didn't want to be shorter than 20 days because I was too scared. So
Okay.
I sat in that window and then waited for the fundamentals of like, I believe in this company, or I think that the market should overall be down in this time frame to play out. But I think it's, I think you could be, or I think the entrance to trading through the short term and learning those emotions will simply just make you even better at controlling your emotions in a longer term positioning. And so the
But
mastery of
that,
that, the mastery of yourself before you master the market is the way to go. Like,
yeah.
in my opinion, like the way to go. You
Oh yeah.
know?
I actually, you know
Yeah.
what? I think I may actually do that. My wife actually brought it up too, and she was like, "Hey, have you thought about long term?" And the only reason why, I honestly, I think it was because of Starbucks, because the Starbucks just completely went in a complete different direction.
Yeah.
But I was always afraid of how volatile the market was. So my idea was that if I jump into it, I can see it now, get in and get out versus waiting. But there have been stocks to where if I only would have waited maybe a day or two or a couple of days, that I would have really been up some money. Where I think that, I think after this talk, that's what I'm gonna do. I think it's I think I'm a dabber into that actually.
Yeah, go for some longer
Thank you
trade.
guys for that.
Oh yeah, of course, man. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Yeah, absolutely. And feel free to subscribe to the Peach Pit Substack.
yeah.
It's okay. I'll
That's
subscribe to everything that's
yeah.
needed.
Have you been, have you, so okay, that's a question. Have you so you've entered into the realm of Discord. Have you discovered FinTwit yet? Or what people call the financial side of Twitter? Are you
I have
familiar with
not
that?
actually. I have
Okay.
not.
So so I was a trader for
Okay.
literally like 8 years or 9 years before I even knew FinTwit existed. And
Wow.
when I stumbled upon it, and I was like, oh, there's like all these experts in this like small subset of Twitter. Like if you Google FinTwit, you'll probably find some sort of list. I'm trying to get on this
FinTwit.
list, but where they just share what they see on the market or what they're seeing right now. And then there's several where it's just news headlines and you can catch them all the time. Like just nonstop, just constant news about the stock market or bonds or options trading or futures or forex. I mean, it goes on and on. And,
Like
commodities.
that.
Like, yeah. So like, but I was interested. So how did you know about? So you found a Discord group. Were you just googling stuff and then found a Discord group first?
Yeah, so around I think around January when our tax money wound up coming in, I was like, I don't want to go and buy anything. When your tax money comes in and things like that, it's always like, I want to go buy a new car. I want to go do this and that. I was like, you know what? I want to invest in myself at this point. Like, I really want to invest in myself. So I was like, hey, babe, like, we're big on saving anyway. I was like, hey, babe, I want to I'm putting $1,000 into the market. I also want to take some money and put it into a Discord group. And that's how I found Cash Capital. I think they were charging like 79 a month or so. But the one thing I can say that Kelly was saying on there, her name is Kelly OG. I was trying to think of it the entire time. But the one thing she would always say is, yeah, we'll put up plays every day, but you guys definitely want to check out the educational part of it, because let's just say one day I'm out of town and I can't and I put up a trade, but I'm in a different time zone, then you guys are gonna lose out. So I actually invested more into the educational part of it. And she actually puts up a number of videos and everything. I wanted to read into her first because everything's a scam now. But everything checked out, and when I started making money, I was like, okay, stocks are not a scam. Okay, well, maybe she is making this type of money. So, and that's when that I really just took off. But it really was me just more kind of Googling what is the best way for me to learn stocks, and she was like one of the first groups that popped up.
That's awesome. I'm so glad
Mhm.
that you've also have a positive experience with Discord and not getting scammed. Because
Yes.
yes, because I've heard nightmares. I think half of my members have been scammed out of like
Wow.
substantial amount of money from
Was this
yeah.
a message about Bitcoin or something like that, possibly?
No, it's just like so I don't charge to be a member of my Discord because
Okay.
first I like that she does a subscription because I think a subscription keeps me honest. If I'm not doing well or if you don't think it's helpful anymore, you're not out like some big one-time fee and didn't get anything out
That's
of
pretty
it.
cool.
You're out
That's
of
cool.
like so like I like the subscription method, but a lot of people, a lot of the scammers will say $500 to join my Discord and stuff like that. So that's, and then
Mhm.
they get in the Discord and it's nothing. It's just a big marketing ploy. That's like the most common thing that I see, run into, and I've even been accused of. There's people who've done
Oh, wow.
hit pieces on me on TikTok where they're like, he's a scammer. And I'm like, guys, all you have to do is click the link. It's free. Like, you can see I'm not charging
You know
money
what? That's how you
here.
know you made it at that point. If they're able
Yeah.
to say that, I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, you know what? I made it. So,
Yeah. If you stand out enough for them to make a video about you.
yep, yep.
Yeah. I should look at it like that. I had the, especially the first time it happened, I did not have the tough skin, man. I was like, I made like 5 video responses, and I was like, how could you accuse me of that? Like, I have 600 total videos at this point. Like, clearly, I know what I'm talking about. Like, they go
What do you
back,
call it? The heel
yeah,
Yep,
in
the
wrestling, the
deal.
heel.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
2.0 at that point.
yeah,
You're Nobel trading 2.0.
yeah, yeah. But then, because if you well, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Maybe if I had your background, I wouldn't have fallen for this, Darius. But I figured out real quickly, if you respond to them, you try to be logical, and if you say, "I'm not, I didn't do these things. I don't know what you guys are all mad about." Like, they do not relent. They do not care.
They
Like,
keep going, and it makes it worse.
yeah.
Like, oh, now you're trying to get more money. It's like,
Oh
dude.
yeah,
But
they'd see you being defensive as like oh, he's wounded now, like
yep,
yeah, when it's like,
yep.
I don't know. Yeah, it drives me nuts. So now when they do that, I have two reactions. I don't respond, or I will create a clapback that I don't address any of the accusations and just make sure they know I'm way cooler than them. So maybe I'm
I
working
like
on my
that.
heel.
I like that. Now that's the 2.0. I'm thinking more like the 3.0 actually. I like that. No, I think at that point you've definitely you've made it. I think you take it as more of a compliment, like, hey, you guys want to get on here and actually talk about me? And cool, they're gonna Google me more. So hey, bring it on. So
Yeah. Nah,
that is cool.
that is the best way to look at it, man. But well, you
Mhm.
got such a great background to have a lot of success with the social medias. I would be
Thank you,
so
brother. I appreciate that.
I'd be so excited to see you blow up, man.
I
Like,
appreciate that, man.
yeah.
It's moments like this that I love. Like I say, for you even reaching out to me, I was like, pretty much like WWE. I was like, well, yeah, like he wants me to come on it. Like he make a mistake. Maybe he messaged the wrong person. But then you reached out to me about it, and I was locked out of what was it, my freaking TikTok. I was actually locked out of for a little bit. So when you messaged me, he was like, "Hey, I messaged you." And I'm like, "You messaged me?" Like, "Oh, okay, this is freaking cool." So back to fanboy.
Yeah. Well, it's also so hard to see TikTok DMs because I messaged you and then I was looking at my own DMs like, oh, I have a bunch of DMs I have not read because I didn't even know I received them. But here and here. So, but yeah, that's so yeah. So what is you're gonna do some more long-term trading and you're gonna
Definitely,
yeah. So what is
definitely.
do you already have you I know it just happened, you just had that thought, but are you going to be doing that with the indexes? Are you gonna start doing some stock picking or
I may do some stock picking. I don't know how well that might work with with the index and like, SPY QQQ, possibly, I mean, you guys probably know more better than me. So I guess what I'm gonna do is I always go back to replay and just kind of analyze it in a sense like, okay, let me analyze this and see how this kind of moves. But then I'm also put money into it because I do want my emotion into it so I can just teach myself on how to control it way more. So,
When
Yeah.
we're talking about replay, you're talking about the trading view
yeah,
feature. Okay, okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll kind of cover my eyes and replay it back to a certain point so I can kind of see, maybe I can predict, not so much as predict, but kind of get in front of the money as it's moving. But
Mhm.
I never, up until now, actually even really thought about the long term part of it. Ever since I said like, well, I don't want to jump into it here, and then the next day it goes down. I'm always like, let me jump in it now, get my money and go. But again, there have been a lot of times where I've replayed and kind of went back and looked at it and analyzed, like, man, if I would have left my money in here for just a couple days or even a day, like I would have been up some serious money.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I think long term, as a tip, would you say that long term probably possibly works out a little bit more easier to manage, I'll say, risk at that point than day trading?
It can it poses its own challenges. It's like think of it like putting up a ladder against a wall. You're not
Okay.
just looking for the first step of the ladder, but you're making sure you're going up the right wall before you start climbing. Um,
Never heard that before, but it's great.
Okay. Okay.
but but yeah, like as far as and this goes out to the viewers as well, those that don't actively trade. My recommendation is always, if you're not that familiar with individual stocks, or if you don't have the time to do the homework, and you want the risk of investing in stocks, I always recommend going into an index. Pick like the S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, whatever your choice is, the Russell, and dollar cost average. Have a set amount you want to put in every month. Maybe it's $100, $200, whatever it may be, and
Mhm.
stay regimented on it. It's the first of the month, and put that much money in it. And over time, it'll dollar cost average. It might be up the next month, it might be down the next month, but no matter what, it's going to average over time. So that's my bare bones recommendation for, not doing the homework, just putting it into a long-term investment vehicle.
Like that.
Yeah,
Definitely for sure.
and the the only thing I'd add to that too, although it's all great,
Mhm.
is when if you're doing a long-term trade, let's say you're doing like 20 days to 120 days, it's also still very careful to make sure that you're using the same principles you would in a short-term trade. So don't
Okay.
let a trade turn into an investment. So like when he says dollar cost average, that's what you do when you have like a 5-10 year horizon on something you really believe in, or an index that
Okay.
historically always goes up over time.
Correct. Not thinking like a
Yeah.
trader, thinking like an investor. We're back to
Yeah.
trading.
Yeah. So like if you're in a trade, and as you know with options, the theta
Mhm.
is always working against you. Every day that passes is not in your favor. So
Yes.
so if you're out in the longer end, 120 days, the first 20 days don't work out, you still have a lot of conviction in this idea that you have. You
Hmm.
might be then inclined to say, okay, I think I'm all right buying more of this once it starts going in my favor. So like
I like that.
I had a Nvidia trade recently where I did this, and I actually made a really good profits on Nvidia today. But that trade, for my initial entry, I bought the contracts for $9 or $900 each. They all went all the way down to $6 per contract. I'm looking at the stock. I'm looking at my technical analysis. Those contracts expire in September. So I'm thinking about, fundamentally, I think this is probably one of the most overvalued stocks. It has not had a pullback in months. I'm looking for a big pullback here. I see it's continued to go against me. I'm looking at what events are on my calendar that could cause this to come down. I see AMD earnings coming up. I'm not bullish there. I'm going to average in at $6 a contract heavily. And then they went to 7. I bought more. And then went to 8. I bought more. And then I sold them all for 1,200 a day. So over my original price. And I would have only made a small return had I just held and just let it go. But like at the same time, it can be so dangerous to push a trade when it's down like that. Like it can turn
Mhm.
awful. So like you have to I be able to identify with time like 1 in 10, how convicted am I? Is it like it could work out, or is it like this is eventually gotta happen?
Yep.
Like, type of thing, you know? So what I do, and what you if you start to go further out on that time horizon, like 120 days,
Uh-huh.
I have a full I don't want to self promote too much because I don't want to check out your stuff, but
No, you're good.
I have a full course built in my Discord that's
Okay.
free, where I go over Elliott wave technical analysis.
Okay.
I had a great mentor who actually Monty knows as well. He's a fund manager. If you want to watch, he'll be on the podcast in 2 weeks, I think. And he
Okay.
taught me Elliott wave analysis to a very high level. And so I built a whole it's just all written, but with photos and stuff to help.
I
And
would love to actually check that out. I'm always
yeah,
wanting to learn more. So heck yeah.
so matching that,
Hmm.
and it's like 70% fundamentally, like what makes sense for this company, are they going downhill, uphill, whatever, and then like 30% of like if I can get those two things to match up, my technical analysis, my fundamentals work, everything looks right, like that is like my sweet spot where I'm like 80% likely to win, every single time on
That
those trades, so that's the golden Goldilocks zone, I guess you could call it,
like
actually.
that.
Yeah. So that's my advice. I feel like uh I'm talking
Like
too much, but hopefully it
you're
was
no, dude.
yeah.
Again, I'm here around two people that's been doing this. I am like a sponge. Like I'm literally sitting here like, look, these guys know what this is obviously the life I want to live, and this is my goal. So again, I'm taking in.
Yeah, absolutely,
I'm
man.
taking in.
Sweet. That's good. Yeah, and I mean I'm so happy because I still have to be the same way, Sometimes new people
Mhm.
teach me stuff too. Sometimes they stumble upon something, they find something out, they stumble upon something that works. I remember one of the traders that I was trading
Uh-huh.
for, I mean, I was basically mentoring him for a year or 2 years, and then he took the knowledge on a longer time frame that I had taught him, and he was like, "But I want to learn. I want to be in and out of trade 20 minutes, like you're doing right now."
Uh-huh.
He did the opposite, and he developed his own technique that still works to this day, amazing for him.
Wow.
So he uses the 13 and 30-day moving averages. He trades within that zone,
Okay.
and I mean, it works for him. I mean, there's like a million different ways to get this to work. And if there's no like cut dry, this is what you have to do, So like, yeah.
Yes.
So I mean, I ended up picking that up from him too. And sometimes when I see opportunities, because I keep those indicators open on my trading view still to this day,
Uh-huh.
I'll take a short, trade as well if it looks obvious enough to me. It has to kind of scream at me, but yeah,
Yeah.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
No,
Yeah.
no, I really like that actually. And I think that's like really the one thing too that was hard for me at the beginning. I was so big on how this person traded. Now this person. And I didn't realize like it is a bunch of different ways that you just get to work. And that's what's so great about the stock market. But I think that's what scares a lot of people away because there are so many ideas. You kind of throw them all together. And then when you don't figure out what works, you're like, oh, it's a scam. I knew it. I knew it.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not. It's like you just got to find out what works for you. So I really love the fact that you said that too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and even on Wall Street, there's a million ways you can make money. And,
Mhm.
like just trading stocks, there's 100 different strategies, whether it's merger arbitrage or long only, long short, high conviction, deep value, straight value growth. There's a million different strategies you can take to making money. The key
Yeah.
is that you master one of those strategies, all the ins and outs, what's going to trigger the stock to appreciate in value, and stick with it. Don't deviate from your methodology. If it works, if it's consistent in the long term, stick with it. And you can put your noise canceling headphones on from the rest of the analyst community, Doesn't matter what they say, as long as you believe in it, it works for you. That's all that matters.
I love
Yeah.
that. I love that. I really do. I think honestly, this whole thing, me being here, it really helped me, and it's just kind of helped me kind of click another spot in my brain. Like, you know what? Let me open up the idea to try this. Let me do this. And again, I'm around guys that know what they're doing, so best people to be around at that point. So I
Yeah,
thank you
man.
guys seriously.
No, yeah. Thanks you for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. I think we've had a really good. It's been great to get to know you, dude, and finally
I
talk to
appreciate it,
you.
bro. Thank you guys.
I actually, it wasn't until you brought it up that I even remember you reaching out to me a
Uh-huh.
while back. Yeah, so
He's too
so
high in the
I'm
sky
glad.
there.
Yeah, so I no, I didn't mean it like that. Like, come
He's a
on.
professional wrestler, Josh.
Yeah, no, I didn't mean it like that at all. I'm sorry.
It's like no, it's all
No,
good, man. That's why I said I was afraid to just because of where I was. I was like, yeah, man. I'd start going through the content. I'm like, I mean, thanks, man. I want to reach out to him, but I kind of want to reach out to somebody that doesn't know, kind of like me. So
yeah.
exit, exit. Let me get out of here. So,
Yeah, I didn't mean I'm at the complete. When you said yes to the podcast, I was calling Monty and I was like, dude, this guy's gonna be awesome, like the perfect guest for the podcast. Like I'm so excited. I love his stuff he's been creating. So he's got a
I
new
love it,
brand,
man.
and so like yeah, I was super pumped to talk to you, man. So I
I
didn't
appreciate it,
yeah
man. I really
yeah.
do. This is
I,
awesome. This is awesome.
yeah, so yeah, and is there anything you want to say? I think we've had a pretty good conversation. Go to wrap things up. Any last shout outs you want to give or
Um, really
tips
no. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
or even if you want to say tips for people who are watching this and now
Mhm.
that they've seen this podcast, they're like, maybe I will start trading. Because early on in your journey, like do you have anything that's maybe saved for them?
I would say if you're looking at us three guys, you got two guys that's been doing this a very long time. You got me that's been doing this for 4 months. We all look different. Go for it at this point. Like everybody's journey is going to be completely different. And I would say, honestly, kind of like you said earlier, never stop learning. Humble yourself and keep that open mind to where, like, you know what? I can still learn. I can still do this. I can still do that. And really just find a goal. Like if stocks are what you want to do, make a set goal as far as like, I want financial freedom. And that's what I'm doing this for. My family, myself, but at the end is I want financial freedom. So keep going, guys. 2.0, keep going.
I freaking love that so much. Awesome, man. Well, thanks again. Thanks so much for calling on the
Thank you
podcast.
guys, man.
And
Much
and like
appreciated.
No,
I
thank
said
you.
before, man, I really mean it. If you ever need anything, please reach out. If you have a question or anything, or if you want to hop in the Discord, ask questions, man. Oh, my DMs are always open. Discord's always open. I'll be more than happy to help you out in any way I can, man.
I
Even
really appreciate that, bro. I really
yeah,
do, man.
And
Monty,
absolutely.
you
likewise for
too,
me as
brother. I
well.
appreciate it, man. Dude, you look like a wrestler yourself. Both of y'all look like wrestlers. Like you're asking me questions. I'm like, are they wrestlers or just like that?
I never got my call to do WWE. I'm still
Okay.
waiting on it.
Hey, it's coming. And I see a tag team right here, right now.
Oh God.
I don't know if my
Simultaneous.
arms are big enough for it, so
You guys are
Oh
awesome,
man.
man. I really appreciate you guys. So anything that you guys may, I don't know if you guys want to go to a wrestling show or get in the ring, I got you guys. So
Appreciate it, man.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I've actually never seen wrestling in person ever.
Mhm.
So I might have to come see you next. If you share something on Facebook and I catch it, I might DM you and be like, all right,
I'm
where
down.
do I get a ticket?
I am down. I will say this: a WWE show and an independent show is completely different. You are going to
Yeah.
get way more interaction out of an independent show. It is something to see. It is
All right.
definitely you will and the beer's cheap. So
There we,
Yeah.
that's got my attention.
there you
Yeah.
go.
Monty's bought it already.
All right. Cheap beer and wrestling. Hell yeah.
Yeah.